Bess. Why are you leaving?
I never attend my friends' funerals.
Is it as bad as that?
Steve, stick to what you know how to do best. Ah, come on, don't take it so hard. Let's go and search for the silver lining. I think you'll find it in yonder saloon.
No, I can't. I must go home. Jeannie's waiting.
But you can't go home looking like Hamlet's ghost. Come on.
No, I can't.
Oh, come on, cheer up. Come on.
Has Mr. Foster come in yet?
No.
She's worried about him. And in her present condition, that can't fail to have a bad effect.
Doctor, I think you better come.
Let me know as soon as he comes in.
Yes.
She wants to see you, Mr. Cleaver.
Is she all right?
As well as can be expected.
Don't stay more than 5 minutes. She's very weak. If I ever get my hands on that husband of hers, I'll wring his neck.
Stephen?
He hasn't come in yet. He's all right, my dear. I'm sure of it.
Did they like his music?
Well...
Tell me.
No.
So that's it. Find him, Henry.
Sure. I'll find him.
Excuse me, have you seen Stephen Foster?
Who?
Stephen Foster. He might have come in with Christie, the minstrel man.
Oh, them?
Yes.
Well, they're in the back room.
Thank you.
I don't know what to say. Jeannie, I'll never do anything like that again. I promise.
Don't make promises you may not be able to keep.
I'll keep this one if it's the last thing I ever do.
Why don't you go and introduce yourself to your daughter?
Hello. She spoke to me.
She did not.
She did. I heard her distinctly. She said, Daddy, you've got circles under your eyes.
My darling. I'm so glad to see you. And her right straight over to her granny. Oh, come to granny. Oh, Jane, she has your eyes.
Let me admit, I was terribly mistaken about you, Stephen.
You aren't mistaken, sir. It's still a penny whistle.
Well, the whole world's listening to it at any rate.
Look, Andrew. Isn't she sweet?
Let me have it.
Careful.
That's better.
Well.
Most tells me old Joe is down with a misery.
Yes, dear, Joe's very sick. He's hoping you'll come and see him.
Oh, I didn't realize it was serious. We'll go right away. Stephen.
I was glad you come home, Miss Jeannie. Mighty glad. You'll excuse me for not driving to the landing for you.
Of course, Uncle Joe. Mose drove very nicely.
That Mose. He couldn't drive a broke-down pony. That's what frets me most. Leaving my team in carriage to that shiftless Mose.
What's the matter with you, Uncle Joe?
I was tired, Mr. Steve. Bone tired.
What you need is a good rest.
Yes, sir. That's what I'm going to get, I reckon. The voices talk about that here lately.
What voices?
I can't rightly say. Just voices. They talk, and I lay here looking at the fire. Mr. Steve, you ever write that song for me like you promised?
Of course he did, Uncle Joe.
Let me hear how it goes. Whistle it, Mr. Steve.
Tomorrow, Uncle Joe. You're too tired now.
Never too tired to hear you whistle.
Wonderful, magnificent.
Daddy! Daddy,
Yes, dear?
what are the little bugs for?
Those are supposed to be music.
Music? They don't look like music.
Well, I hope they sound like music.
Sing me a song, Daddy.
All right. Here's a new one.
I don't like new ones.
Oh, I see. You want to sing, hmm?
No, both.
All right. What'll it be?
Oh, Kentucky home.
All right.
Oh, the sun shines bright on my old Kentucky home. 'Tis summer, the dark is our gay.
Delightful, Miss Foster.
Oh, the corn tops ripe and the meadows all in bloom, while the birds make music all the day. Birds, Daddy, birds.
The pulse, please. Go on writing songs, Mr. Foster.
What, don't I get in?
Afraid not.
What's wrong?
Oh, your eyes aren't so good.
They're good enough to shoot with. It isn't my eyes. What is the matter with me?
This.
Serious?
Well, walk. Don't run. Take your time going upstairs. Don't try to lift anything heavy, and don't get excited. Next.
You know, I've never seen Stevie so cheerful.
Do you think so?
Yes.
I wonder. Mr. Foster, may I remind you that you haven't asked me to dance this evening?
Well, you and Henry were doing so well, it would have been a shame to interrupt.
Why is it so few men like to dance with their wives?
That's because they haven't as lovely wives as I have.
Now my evening is spoiled.
Ah, greetings and salutations. Madame, my salute to beauty. And Stephen, my respect to genius. And Kleber, my pity for a mental void and a foul disposition.
Don't waste your time pitying me, you blood-facer.
Stephen, I've just arranged with the orchestra leader to pay your tribute.
Oh, no, Chris.
Yes, I must, really. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure and honor to present you this evening America's troubadour and composer, the one and only Stephen Foster. In honor of Mr. Foster, ladies and gentlemen, the orchestra will play a medley of his greatest compositions.
Hey, wait a minute. There's a war on.
Sit down.
Keep still.
That's a rebel song. I come from Alabama. It's a rebel song.
He's right. All that man's songs are about the South. I don't want to hear them.
What's the matter with Yankee Doodle?
That's the song, play Yankee Doodle. Do you sympathize with the South?
Yes, deeply.
Then you're a filthy traitor.
Oh, stop it, Kate. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Come.
Play Yankee Doodle.
Yeah,
You take Jeannie home.
Stephen, you caused all this, you taker, you windbag, you egomaniac.
Go on, take her home. I'll go after her.
Sound asleep. Mustn't sing. Just kiss her goodnight.
Here's Mother, darling. Are you all packed, Nana? Yes, ma'am.
I ordered a cab for you.
Oh, thank you, Stephen.
Will you write to me now and then? I mean, just to let me know how Marion's getting on.
Of course I will.
Tell your father I'm sorry I made a mess of things after all.
Stephen, we have Marion to think of now. I'd be willing to try again, but
What good would it do? I'd only promise and do the same things all over again. Well, I guess there's nothing more to say. Except, I love you. I'm losing my whole world.
oh, Stephen, why can't you conquer this one weakness?
Why must any of us be what we are?
I'm ready, Mother.
Are you, darling? It's cold out. I think you'd better get her one tippet out of the bag. Yes, Mrs. Foster.
Where's your hat and coat, Daddy?
I won't be needing them.
But Mother says it's cold.
I'm not going with you, darling.
But we're going to Okeechobee home. Mother, Daddy says he's not coming with us.
Come here, Rabbit. Daddy can't go with you. He's got to stay here and rattle out more songs.
But I don't want to go if you're not going.
Oh, of course I'm going with you, darling. But not right away. Later on.
And you bring the songs with you so I can sing them?
Of course I will.
When will you bring them? Tomorrow?
Maybe tomorrow. Maybe sometime later.
It's time to go, darling.
For a ride on the ferry boat. For a ride on the steam cars. Goodbye, darling.
Bye, Daddy. You'll hurry, won't you?
Yes, darling.
Goodbye, Stephen.
Goodbye.
Hello, Steve.
Hello, Chris. Sit down, sit down. Will you have a drink?
I don't care if I do. A little lager beer.
Jim, a lager for my friend. Well, how are you, Chris?
Fine, Steve.
What are you doing here?
I might ask the same question of you. What are you doing here?
I work here. Handsome wages, delightful surroundings, and the liquor's passable. I heard you were in Europe.
I just returned. No doubt you heard of my tour?
No.
A triumph. I appeared before all the crown heads of Europe. As my friend Queen Victoria put it, she said, Christy, you have the real Oscar Missoula.
I can just hear her saying.
Steve, what's wrong? What's happened to you?
I don't know. I guess I just don't have it anymore.
Where's your wife?
Go.
That's a woman for you.
No, Chris, you're wrong. She should have left me long before she did. The way I treated her. She and the little girl went back to her family about 2 years ago. And ever since then,
does she know about this?
you think I go crying to her?
Steve, look. I've got plenty of money. There was all a lot of bunk about the crown heads of Europe, but we did pack them in. Now, how much can I advance you?
No, there's things.
But, Steve, I owe it to you. After all, look what your songs have done for me.
I don't want money, Chris. I'd like to hear my songs sung again as they used to be. And I'd like to be able to write one. Above all, I'd like that. But if I can't, I'm better off forgotten.
Oh, come on, son. It can't be as bad as all that.
No, Chris, I'm not fooling. Please go and forget me.
Steve, listen.
Please go, Chris, please.
All right. But if you ever need anything, you know where to find me.
Yeah, I know, Chris. Goodbye. Thanks. Jim, give me a shot of rye. Double.
Got it for you.
Oh, thanks. Ambrose. What day is this?
22nd.
22nd. Thanks.
September.
Mrs. Foster, please. Mr. Cleaver calling.
Oh, yes. Mrs. Foster's waiting for you in the parlor, sir.
Thank you. Gee, my dear.
Henry, where is he?
I went to his room, but he wasn't there. Your letter was, though, so he must know you're coming.
What'll I do if he doesn't come?
We'll go to him.
Tell me about him. In your letter, you said he was ill.
Yes, but it's more than physical. He has gone to pieces, Jeannie. There's nothing. Nothing. I don't mean money. He has become a shell since you left.
I had no idea. But he has friends.
He won't see them. He won't take any help.
I beg your pardon. Mr. Stephen Foster in the lobby.
Bring him here.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll slip out this way.
Jane, how's Marion?
She's fine. She's grown so you wouldn't know her. She looks more like you every day, Stephen.
Poor child.
You don't look well, Stephen.
Oh, overworked, I suppose. Publishers after me. You know how it is.
Shall we sit down?
How long are you going to stay in New York?
How long do you want me to stay?
Do I want you? But I thought you were on your way to Boston.
There's no hurry.
Well, I'm afraid I won't be able to see you as much as I'd like to. My new songs are keeping me busy.
I'd like to hear them.
Of course. You know I'm lying. I haven't written a song that's worth anything for months. For years, really. Not since you left.
I'm lying too, Stephen. I'm not going to Boston. I've come back to you, if you'll have me.
No, Jeannie. There's no sense in it. I'm no better than I was. Worse, really. Because now I'm a failure.
I don't believe that. I do believe in you, Stephen. All I'm asking you to do is try. Try, Stephen. You can do it, I know.
If you think I can. Come in.
Good morning, Stephen.
Good morning.
I saw your friend Christy this morning. He's holding a place in his show for the new Foster song when it's written.
If it's written.
It will be, won't it?
I don't think I can do it, Jeannie. I've tried as hard as I know how.
Listen, Stephen. Try to understand. Nothing's changed in you, really. You're still Stephen Foster. The Stephen Foster who told me long ago he wanted to write the music about the South. Remember, Stephen, the day we missed the picnic boat, went off by ourselves? Remember, down on the river?
Yes. Down on the river. Long ago. Jeannie, I wondered if you'd leave me alone for a while.
Big audience, boss. It's a sellout. And you're the muttonhead who said New York wouldn't come to hear me sing a Stephen Foster song.
Well, I was wrong. I admit it. I thought the war would stop me.
My boy, E.P. Christie could sing Marching Through Georgia and Atlanta and make them like it. Ah, Mrs. Foster. Good evening. A truly great occasion.
Yes, of course. It must go well, Mr. Christie.
Don't worry, Mrs. Foster. Everything is in my hands. Where's Stephen?
Oh, I was so fidgety, I was afraid I'd make him that way, too, so I left him to dress. He's joining us here.
Fine. Let's go in. Box A for Mrs. Foster and Potty. And have the usher show Mr. Foster the box when he arrives.
Yes, sir. So he thinks he's going to sing a Southern song, does he? He'll find out.
Come on. Let's go in.
Come in.
That's your shaving water, Mr. Foster.
That's fine, Ambrose. Set it right down there.
It ain't very hot. This old bowl's kind of cracked. Wouldn't stand a lot of heat.
That's all right.
Mrs. Foster says your song's going to go over big tonight.
I hope she's right. Look, Ambrose, has your father got a razor strap?
Yeah, stopped me with it yesterday.
I'd like to borrow it.
Sure, I'll get it.
All right, thanks.
What's that? I guess Mr. Foster must have dropped his shaving water. I'll see.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, our old friend Romulus will do his famous specialty dance. Applause is deafening. Say, has Mr. Foster come yet?
Haven't seen him, Mr. Christie.
come yet?
No, not yet.
I'm glad. I'm going to stop him.
The doctor sent me. Mr. Foster's had an accident. You better come quick.
Come on, this way.
Heart attack. And he cut himself badly when he fell. Bring the stretcher in.
Yes, Doctor.
Doctor, how is he?
Are you Mrs. Foster?
Yes.
He's been asking for you. You may go in.
Stephen.
I'm sorry I missed the show. Did they like my song?
They loved it.
My boy, I give him the old Oscar Missoula. They lapped it up, too. 5 encores.
Thanks, Chris. You always did sing my songs better than anyone else. Our songs. I'm sorry, Jeannie. It just seems that something always happens.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Foster. The ambulance is waiting.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, please, get on with the show. We paid our money.
Ladies and gentlemen, we had intended at this time to present for you a brand new ballad written by America's own favorite composer, Mr. Stephen C. Foster. Mr. Foster was to have been here tonight, but unfortunately, he cannot be present. This was to have been his evening of triumph. Instead, it has become his memorial. For Stephen Foster is dead. He left us his new song, a song that will endure long after the war between the North and South has been forgotten. A song he wrote for all the American people. With your leave and permission, I'd like to sing it for you. Way down upon the Swanee River, far, far away, there's where my heart is turning ever. There's what the old folks stay. All up and down the whole creation, sadly I roam, still longing for the old plantation and for the old folks at home. For the world am sad and dreary everywhere I roam. Oh, doggies, how my heart grows weary, far from the old folks at home. Everybody sing, everybody.